Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Lunch with a Legend, where we're joined back by popular demand with the absolute legend and probably the nicest man in the world, Micky Hazard, today. Micky, how are you doing?
That's a new one, Kate. I'm good. I hope you two are too.
I'm not sure why Micky's quite quiet, so you might have to turn your volume up, everyone. I told him to shout at me, but he said he doesn't shout at people. So, but yeah, see, that's better. I could hear you properly then. How's things been with you, Micky? All good? You've been busy?
Yeah, I've probably had the busy period of my life. I think, obviously, the charity that we started over a year ago, maybe 2 years, has absolutely taken off, become so big. And then on Thursday of last week, for instance, we laid from 12 o'clock till sort of off 4:30. We've laid 5 benches in a park, and obviously in the heat and the walking around and talking to everyone and basically laying the bench. From there, then I had to dash straight from there without even having time to get changed to a place in Finchley, an hotel in Finchley where some lovely family, the Champlainers, Paul Champlainer, organised a big boxing function for Legend on the Bench, and raised throughout the evening. It was an incredible night, and in the course of the evening, at the end of the evening, they raised in excess of £20,000.
Wow!
Which equates to about maybe 12, 13 benches. So it was an incredible day all round. I was very tired, man.
That's amazing, Micky. I mean, this whole Legend on a Bench thing is wonderful. Such a brilliant charity. You must be so proud of how it's going.
Yeah, no, it's surpassed our wildest expectations. It was originally set out as me and my sister wanting to do a sort of memorial to my son and my nephew who hung himself, and we decided to raise funds on Legends Nights that I did, and from the first one up in Peterborough with Perryman, we did a night, and at the end of the night we'd raised £1,500 towards a bench, which was incredible. So from there it just grew and grew. Then we eventually got the first bench. We then got people sort of working for the charity, and here we are today. We've actually laid 6 benches now, and we've got 10 more in the process of waiting for council approval. We've got some approvals, but not 10, and we're just waiting for council approval to get the all 10 laid. And it's flying along at a lovely pace, and we're getting so much support and encouragement. It really is incredible, and it speaks volumes for the kindness of the people that donate, the kindness of the people that support us and advertise us, and especially the people that work for us. Not a lot of people know this, and I've never really said this before, that each and every single member, there's about 10 of us who works for Legend on the Bench. Not one of us takes 1 pence, not 1 pence. Every penny that's taken goes to paying for the benches. So that's an absolute total credit to the volunteers. I call them volunteers, much more important than a volunteer, but without volunteers you can't survive. And they are brilliant. They're there in heart and soul at every event that we do, at every fundraising event, at every event, every revealing of each bench. They are there in abundance. It's incredible to see, and it's very uplifting. So yes, it's doing fantastically well.
Brilliant. I do follow it on Facebook, so I always make sure I have a look at what's going on. Jimbo, I forgot to say hello to you. Everyone says you're grinning like a Cheshire cat because your hero's back on the screen with you.
Yeah, it's good to see you, Micky.
And post on social media, off You praised me, which is very nice.
Well deserved. And well done on the benches. It's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it really is. It really is. And, you know, it's us as a family, it's very poignant and very touching and meaningful. But for the people out there who've also got these, who sort of can associate themselves with us, it's touched so many people. And, you know, when you attend a boxing event, it's not the place that you would think that, you know, it's generally full of hard men and what have you. But honest to God, if I could tell you the response, one, we showed a video of our first ever video that when we set up. Two, I got on into the ring, not to fight, because I'd have won anyway. And there was an MC there asking questions, and he asked me about a little speech on Legend on the Bench. If I could tell you some of the donations that went on after that speech, it was just incredible. We had three people paid £1,800 each. That's the cost of one bench. Three people.
Wow.
£1,800. That's £5,400 of three people. It was absolutely incredible. Very special.
Do you know what, Mickey? I always say you get out of life what you put in, and you're such a charitable person yourself. And obviously, if people see that and they give it back, so big up to you and everyone that's involved. I think it's such a wonderful charity.
Absolutely spot on, Kate. I once watched an interview by a very famous actor. I can't remember his name at this moment in time. He's that famous. And I was watching this interview that he did when he just won an Oscar. And he was talking about his parents and his family and everything. And then he sort of finished the speech by saying, just remember, everybody, everything in life that you do that is good will be one day reciprocated back to you. And I thought, wow, how true. Because you walk down the street and you smile at someone, they smile back. You know, it really is. Never been a truer word spoken.
Yeah, 100%. I've got to start with this subject, Mickey. What have you made of Euro 2024 so far? I assume you've been watching.
Well, first and foremost, I think we should be very, very grateful that we are in the last 16, the last 8.
Yeah.
I think we should be very grateful. We certainly haven't warranted being there. We haven't played anywhere near the level that we're capable of playing, which augurs well, I must say. You know, having come through that tough fixture the other night where we got that last-second equaliser and then went through in extra time, I think it augurs well for the future of the tournament that we haven't even performed maybe to a fifth of our potential. At some point, surely it's going to take off for us. These great players that we have, they're still great players. And at some point, great players can find their form. And hopefully, the confidence gained, snatching victory from the jaws of defeat, will enable us to sort of shackles, release ourselves from the pressures of playing for England, because it's a pressure, and winning a trophy. And if we take the shackles off, and I think it's the manager's responsibility to enable that. You know, I always say a player who plays a football game, like down with a park with his friends, performs better than if he builds the situation up to be something more than it is. So get the shackles off, release the boys their freedom, let them go out and play and do what they do for their clubs, and there's no reason why we can't succeed.
Yeah, I mean, Jim, you've been watching it more religiously than I have. I mean, we've talked so much about this tournament. Such a frustration to watch England at the minute, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but the thing with football is winning. That's the main objective, and we scraped through, but we won, so we're in the next round. So they can.
Jim, you're a Spurs fan. It's not just about winning; it's about winning with style. What is it? It's not.
I think.
The opposition. It's just going entertaining the fans and winning with style, and elegance and flair and creativity. Come on, Jimmy, you're a Spurs fan.
The thing is, Mickey, with England, it's not. I look at it different than Spurs, and I think with England, it is just a matter of winning. And I don't like speaking bad of anybody. I never put players down or managers, but I think Southgate's getting it wrong too often, and it's frustrating to watch him. So for me, with England, it's just about getting through to the next round and then hoping that we play a different way. But he's such a frustrating manager, so frustrating.
Agreed.
That's what I was coming to next. I was going to ask you what your thoughts are on Gareth Southgate, because he's getting so much criticism, but I think it's warranted. I don't know what you think.
Yeah, no, I think that unfortunately, as a manager, you're the guy who takes everything that goes on. You pick the team, you pick the system, you pick the style, everything to do with it. So you're always going to be the first to be criticised. My personal feelings are, I think there's a time to criticise and there's a time not to. When we are willing our boys on to win something, which we haven't done since 1966, an incredibly long time, it's sort of counterproductive if we start this criticism during the middle of a tournament. What we need to be doing, and I know it's very difficult when they're not performing and the performing as they have. It's very difficult to feel positive and constructive. And I don't mind criticism as long as it's a constructive criticism, because the way to the other side of this is that we don't criticise for criticising's sake. We certainly don't put players down, because they're very, very good players. We know that. And they're just struggling with their form, and it's happened to the greatest players in the world at times as well. So I think everything that he's received is sort of warranted, maybe just at the wrong time now.
Yeah.
The Euros, but certainly he needs to allow himself to play with more freedom. He almost looks uptight, and a team reflects its manager. As we saw at Spurs throughout our history, we have played with style and flair and creativity, and then we got Mourinho and Conte in, and we became this boring, negative, dull team to watch. So we reflected our managers of that time. Even though our history and our philosophies and traditions weren't that style, we ended up reflecting our manager. And I think if Gareth is to win this title, I think he needs to open himself up to being more outgoing, more brave, more daring. The dare is to do, and adopt some of our philosophies. Some like to dare is to do would be get your players going out on the park, not afraid of what's ahead of them. Get them to embrace what's ahead. Get them to go out there feeling free from the trials and tribulations of what it means to everyone. Because let's be honest, we all are desperate, just like the Spurs are desperate to win a trophy, and as a country we are too. So the pressures can grow, and the longer it goes, the more it grows. So that's a manager's responsibility to give the players more freedom, and more belief, more opportunity to go and have fun, go and enjoy yourself, embrace ahead of you, and you can win this.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, we do forget, I think, that football is meant to be entertainment, and there's no entertainment value watching England at the minute. It's absolutely diabolical, in my opinion. But, I mean, do you see us progressing on Saturday against Switzerland?
I think it's going to be an incredibly tough game. I think that it's a game that we can win. We didn't go into the competition as favourites because we were a bad side. We look a bad side because we're not playing well. But as I said earlier, at some point, these good players are going to click, and you just hope that it. Sorry, that's my daughter-in-law. You just hope that these players are going to. And I always say that you find out who you are in the biggest games. When you talk people say, "What's your proudest moment?" And I think I've said this on your last show. What's your proudest moment in football? It's not the fact that I won a UEFA Cup or I won an FA Cup or I did this or the proudest moment is when you're at the point of whereby the pressures at its very greatest. You've got to pull out a performance to win the game, and you go out and you dig deep and you find the performance from deep within your soul. And that's what these boys need to do. They need to go out, they need to throw off the shackles, and they need to look within and find a performance. Because if they do that, they're more than capable of beating Switzerland.
Okay, so will we beat Switzerland, Mickey? Come on, give us your score prediction.
2-1.
2-1 England. Jimbo, what do you think? Oh, hang on, I've muted you, Jimbo. Sorry. What did you think?
3-0 England.
You've said 3-0 every game, I think, and we haven't scored that many goals.
Well, we're 3-0 England.
Well, I'm going really negative and going 2-1 to Switzerland. Sorry to
Oh,
be negative, Nancy. I have to say what I feel in my head, not my heart. I'm afraid.
I always text my daughter-in-law. She'd ask me a question. What did you say? What was your prediction?
Mine was 3-0. 3-0 because I think England will kick in.
Yeah.
Point they will. The longer they're around, the more likely they'll really hit top form.
Yeah, and I've done us to lose 2-1.
Hey, that's not very safe.
I'm always the one that gives the negative results. I can't help it.
They haven't been.
I also think that's almost it's a way of not tempting fate. Sometimes when Spurs are playing, I tell myself, we've got no chance of winning today, in the hope that karma comes back and proves me wrong.
Exactly that.
I get why you do that, because I do it with Spurs sometimes. Sometimes when I'm unsure of which way to go, I say we're definitely losing today.
Yeah.
Karma kicks you back in the teeth, but it never falls for it, to be fair.
Exactly. I don't know if you're going to go with England and go with your heart here, or you're going to pick a different team that you think's going to win the tournament.
Most likely. It's all the normal contenders, the contenders. I don't know why we presume England should be a contender, but we always do, and rightly so. But Spain, Germany, the Portugal look decent. There's some good sides. We got the better off of the draw, so it wouldn't surprise me to see us certainly in the semi-final. But my heart sort of says England can't win it on current form. But at some point, I think that we are going to hit a little bit of form. And I think it's important that Gareth gets the right team, his selection's right. When he's got... Sometimes you have to pick the best team rather than the best players.
Exactly.
And that's what I feel. We look unbalanced. So somewhere he's got to find a better balance. The better balance will give all the creative, skillful flair players an opportunity to better balance. So, I think if he gets it right, we've got a chance.
I love that. That's kind of sitting on the fence, not saying too much, but being optimistic. I'm still sticking with Germany, I'm afraid. I think the Germans look very good, especially on their home soil. Jimbo, you sticking with Portugal?
No, I'm going to go with England. I think we're kicking. I think that's going to give them a real boost the other day, scoring with 45 seconds left and then going on to win it. And obviously Harry Kane scoring the winner. I think that'll really give them a boost and they're kicking now. So I'm going with England.
This is from the man who said we were going to win the league right up until it wasn't possible, sort of. So Jimbo is forever the optimist, bless him.
That's good.
What was that, Mickey? Sorry.
That's good. That is very optimistic.
It is.
It's right to be as well. After all, we have won the World Cup, so and we're playing in Europe. And if you look at the facts, certainly in the recent past, in the last 5 or 6 years, English teams in Europe have been the domineering teams. So if that is the case, then somewhere we've got good players that can dominate in Europe. But as I've said, it's about getting the team selection spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. Oh, Jimbo, you're talking. What was you saying, darling?
They haven't beat us since 1981, and the last draw was 6 games ago against them. We've beaten them the last 5 times, and since 1981 they've only had 3 draws against us. The rest we've beat them, so it's stacked in our favour. We've got a good record against them, so yeah, I fancy us to beat Switzerland and go marching on.
Bless him. I do love his optimism. He's the yin to my yang. I'm the negative one. He's the optimistic one.
That's why you're a good
Yeah, it must be. Obviously, moving on to Spurs, Mickey. Now the season's over. When you look back, how do you think Ange did in his first season at Spurs?
well, first thing I'll say is that we transformed the atmosphere
Yeah.
from a sort of dire, dull, sort of boring experience. It transformed us from that into a team that sort of lit up the league, if you like. Those first 9, 10 games were incredible. From that moment on, when we played Chelsea, I have to say that it would have been a very, very interesting season if the Chelsea game had not happened, i.e., the sending offs, the suspensions, etc., the injuries. And because at that point we were playing absolutely amazing. The Chelsea game, for instance, in the first half hour, we absolutely 3 or 4 up. We were incredible that day, and then it just all fell apart when Romero got sent off, and then injuries, and suddenly the momentum was lost. We went on a bad run while playing quite well. Went on a bad run, and then we sort of never really quite regained that same intensity, that same quality. And while along the way there was still some great performances, some great results, we never really rediscovered that that consistency required to compete at the top of the league. But how do I rate his first season? I think it's been a revelation. I think it's been a joy to be part of. He's a wonderful man. I went to a lunch with him when we were celebrating the 1984 40-year anniversary. And I was standing talking to Graham Roberts and Paul Miller, and all of a sudden this guy tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hello, Mickey, how are you?" I turned like, blimey, how did Ange know me? Years ago, 40 years ago. And he says, "Hello, Mickey." Then he turns to Graham, "Hello, Graham, hello, Paul." I was blown away here. So, and what an absolute gentleman. And he was flat honoured to be sharing the same room as us. He told us stories about his dad when they were young and how they used to watch us, and incredible. So yeah, he's the right man for the job. And given time, I really think he's going to transform this club into winning trophies. He's got such a wonderful philosophy. That doesn't mean that I agree with all of his philosophies. I think what he preaches is wonderful. It's in the greatest of Tottenham's traditions. But also, I think there needs to be a sort of a two-dimensional approach. I.e., when we've got the ball, carry on doing what you're doing. But when we haven't got the ball, we have to actually shut up shop, get ourselves. Mm-hmm. The fist as a description of how a football game should be played. So that's when you haven't got the ball. You're tight, you're locked tight. There's no spaces, no gaps anywhere. And when you've got the ball, you flourish, you open up, you spread wide, you spread long, you spread deep, and you create spaces and gaps in the opposition. And I think that if he adopts those two philosophies, i.e. that when you've got the ball, tight as you can. When you haven't, there's no reason why we can't go on and win things because we've got very, very good players.
I did see your photos when you met Ange, and I was like, "Oh my God, Jim, Mickey's been with Ange," because he does come across as such a personable human. When he talks, he sounds like a fan, and I think that's where a lot of us sort of engage with him because he seems such a genuine soul. You could just tell he's a good guy.
Oh, I can't speak highly enough of him. He's a gentleman. He's respectful, pride. He behaves impeccably. He speaks with such wisdom. He really is an amazing guy. And some people you wish from the bottom of your heart success to.
Yeah,
I wishing them anything but the best of successes because he's really that lovely.
Yeah, I mean, me and Jimbo are massive fans. We're obviously having this YouTube channel. You get all sorts of people in there. I get a lot of people now, even now, saying they want Ange out already, which I find incredible. But that's humans. They want instant success.
I think that modern day society, modern ways of thinking, particularly in football, is we're sort of guided that way that we want instant success. When you go back through history and look through time, in general, the great Alex Ferguson, who's one of the greatest ever, took him 5 years to win a trophy for Manchester United. So I still think to myself that we have to be patient, we have to let it build, we have to let it grow. If we get early success, great. But what we mustn't do is get early success at the expense of long-term success. Because
Exactly.
don't go hand in hand. I've been part of teams, and I've seen teams throughout our history have short-term success. They win a trophy, they win 2 trophies, they win 3 trophies, and it's all over. We go another 7, 8, 9, 10 years without winning a trophy. That's not what we want. What we want is a team and a club built and geared for long-term success. So that means winning trophies every year, every second year, rather than a quick fix of, oh yeah, we've just won a trophy and now we're not going to win another one for 24 years. No, we can't. We have to be patient. We have to give Ange the opportunity to build his own team, get his own players, and allow them players to flourish in the way that Ange wants to play the game, which is perfect for all us Tottenham fans. So for me, I hope he's given 5 years to succeed because he's worthy of that opportunity, and I'd love to see him here for the next 5 years and transform us into that team right at the very top of the table.
I mean, Jim, apart from that Mickey's dodgy accent, no offence, I could have been listening to you there. He's basically said everything you've said about Ange.
Yeah.
You want him to be here for the next 5 years as well.
Yeah, he needs. We need to stabilise the club now. And the thing is, Mickey, what I've been saying all along is that I've never been a Levy out person because I could see what he was doing with the club, how he was going to build the club. A long time ago, I said it to Kate. He'll make us into a force, and he has made mistakes on the pitch, Levy. But he's built us into a club now where we're so sustainable, and we're one of the biggest clubs in the world now. That's what he's made us. But I think now it's time to give a manager time like Ange, put him in there, leave him in there, let him do his thing, and let him pick his players, and build his team how he wants to build it. And we'll move on. And I've got faith this is going to happen. And I take a lot of stick for it because I won't waver from the way I feel and the way I think the club's going to go. And I still believe that Levy will back him and we'll move forward. And I think Ange is the man to do it. And I will not waver from that until I see different.
I think there's one word that you say, little chat that you've just done, sustainable. I think that's the important word in what Daniel Levy has done, and why we are not at the peak of our spending powers yet because of the debt that hangs over us.
Where's Mickey gone?
Sustainable, and able to compete with all the big boys financially in the long term, and that's the key to long-term success. In modern day football, we're competing against countries, etc., who are funding football clubs, and no individual is ever going to be able to compete with a wealthy country. So we have planned for the long term, and that's why we have to be patient, because when it comes, it's sustainable, rather than like in the past where we've had 2-3 trophies and then we've had to sell our best players. That's no longer the case. We can build for it, win it, that little trophies, but we then could sustain it and hang on to our best players, unlike in the past, and then sustain winning trophies over a much longer period. So I'm excited about the long-term future for definite, but I'm also equally as excited. I'm actually equally very excited for next season. I can't wait to get back, because wow, we've had a season to adjust to Ange's way of thinking, to Ange's style, to the fitness levels of what Ange, early on, for instance, now they've had a chance to adapt and adjust to it all. This season could be, wow, it could be a really exciting time, and I can't wait to get back.
Hotspur Hippie, big up to you, Paul, says if Twitter was around in 77, it probably would have been Birkinshaw out. I think he's got a good point. I think social media is what fuels the fire for a lot of these crazy things that people come out with.
Absolutely. I mean, there's much more scrutiny nowadays because of the social media. So whether you're a player, whether you're a manager, you get scrutinised from top to bottom. But he's correct, and it's a fantastic point. In 77, for instance, Birkinshaw, who went on to become, for me, one of the top 3 managers in the history of our football club, and certainly one of the most successful, he would have been sacked in 77. He took us down to Division 2. So that in itself proves the basis for being loyal to a manager who's showing good signs, and is showing amazing signs. So let's give him the chance to succeed. I'm sure he will get that chance, but it's a great point to make that this would have been Birkinshaw back in 77, and thankfully the board stayed true to him and gave him the opportunity to eventually turn it all around and win trophies.
Yeah, exactly. He also says, holy crap, just got here. Micky Hazard, thanks for the football. It was electric on the shelf. Bonkers fun, mate. True artist out there for the mighty Spurs.
Thank you. What a nice compliment. I presume you talked about Glenn.
No. It's all you, Micky. It's all you.
Compliment. One of the most rewarding things about being a footballer and being the type of footballer that I was is that when people actually recognise and comment in a way that says you were the artist that you thought you were.
Yeah.
I always try to play the game with flair and creativity, and I never wanted to take the easy options and just get it and give it back to the centre back. I always wanted to play that telling pass. I always wanted to go on that dribble. I always wanted to make something happen, and if that excites fans and later down the line, like today, they remember that for me is made it all worthwhile.
Well, yeah, there you go. You've been remembered. I mean, Jimbo's always raving about you. And Steve D bought one of your pictures. He said, I love my hand-signed Ali standing over Sonny Liston. The Wall of Fame is exclusive to the greats, and Mickey fits right in. There you go. We've all got signed Mickey things on the wall.
Wow, that's amazing.
So
Ali standing over Sonny Liston. Wow, that
yeah.
was sale at the boxing do the other night. Is that? I wonder if that's where he bought it.
No, he bought it a while ago. I can't remember. He did tell me because, but I can't remember where.
But there was a Ahmed Ali standing over Sonny Liston the other night at the boxing do. That
Wow.
for about £1,000,
Yeah.
which is charity, of course. So
Jimbo, tell Mickey about the I was going to say Delhi Ali there. Blimey out. Muhammad Ali picture that you got.
Yeah, I that was I've got one of Ali with Michael Jordan. Well, in fact, it's in my brother-in-law's house now. So, I got that bought for me at an auction.
a lot of money.
Sorry.
Got a lot of money, that one.
Well, they bought it when it was bought for me. It was bought for me as a present. They paid 10,000 for it. That was a guy I worked for bought it for me as a present because we was walking through looking at stuff, and I said, "Oh, I really like that. That's nice." Then he
Jim, I was the same, by the way. I sort of got reeled in on one. I was looking through Facebook. Got to tell you this story. I was looking through Facebook, and I saw this Pele and Maradona signed shirts, 2 shirts in the same frame, £399. And I thought, you must be joking. That's a mistake. So I quickly went onto the website, sent a message. Listen, I'm interested in that Pele Maradona 399. If you've got 5 of them, I'll buy 5. Right? I quickly went back to the Facebook page to check it. It was 3,999.
Oh,
But yeah, special pieces like that, Jim, worth a fortune.
yeah, he just kept bidding on it until he won, and he ended up spending. It cost him 10,000.
Yeah, wow.
And he took it off and he just give it to me as a gift.
Oh God.
to be
Right.
fair, Jim did used to work for a Saudi prince, so he had plenty of money.
Oh well, no problem then, Jim.
He wasn't poor.
I promise you, if you'd have worked for me, I'd have spent a tenner on you also.
That's thrown me now. Are you, obviously we were talking about how brilliant Ange has done. Are you concerned that sort of we had that quite a big drop off towards the end of the season, which has obviously caused people to sort of be Ange out? Has that been a concern, do you think?
Never nice to lose. I hate losing. I want to, particularly when I watch the Spurs, I want to win every game. It was difficult to. It was almost a bit like our better players. You know, Madison, who I thought was unbelievable at the start of the season, absolutely on fire. Just towards the end of the season, certainly after his injury, he never rediscovered his form, which was a shame because he really was spectacular at the start. But I have high expectations of them this season, despite the drop off at the end. They come back refreshed, recharged. And the great thing about starting a new season is while you're in the midst of the season and your form drops, your confidence sort of drops a little bit with it. I don't agree with it, but quite a lot of players do. It does. And somehow you're having to still play at your peak while you're struggling with your confidence. The great thing about the end of the season is that it enables you to have a break, rebuild yourself up, recharge yourself back, but also regain your confidence. I'm expecting fantastic things in Madison at the start of this season. Because he's a special player. He's what I call a Spurs midfielder. But he did drop off, as did the team. But I'm very confident that they'll be back, raring to go come the start of the season, and hopefully 1 or 2 signings as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo, you was the same. None of us like losing. You think the Spurs fans would be kind of used to it, but none of us like losing. But you're not overly concerned, I don't think.
No, no, not at all. It's his first season. They've got to learn his system. He's got to learn the Premier League. It's a completely different league to what he's ever managed in. And the man is not an idiot. He's a smart man. And he learned by last season. The players learn from him what he wants. It's just going to take a bit of time. And no matter what anyone says, the quad's on till it's not on.
I love it.
All the way, Jim.
Do you know what? If you don't dream, what's the point of being a fan?
Isn't that what our motto is? To dare,
Yeah.
dare is to dream. If
Yeah.
you don't dream, do. Got to dream.
Yeah, I mean, Ange even was saying last season, I want the fans to dream. Why not? Enjoy it. I don't understand why you'd be a fan otherwise.
Yeah. The great thing about going to sleep at night is that as you lie there, you've just come home from the Spurs game, you lie on your bed, you've just beaten Arsenal 3-0. The best thing is lying there thinking and dreaming of, wow, what a performance that was. Can't wait for the next game. We're going to win the FA Cup, or we're going to win the Champions League. Just dreaming about it. Because dreams come true. The more you dream, the more likely it is to come true.
Exactly. Going on to sort of some new signings. Obviously, Archie Gray came out today, and that's all done. Do you look at the squad and think, wow, we really need a certain player or a certain position filled?
I think that having been a player, you learn to accept what's within the club. So when I was playing, for instance, I never fretted or worried about who was going to come in or not. I often hoped that nobody would come in because I wanted my place. So I'm pretty much the same as an individual. Now that I'm retired, I look at the team and I see what we've got, and I prefer to put the onus on what we've got rather than what we might have, because what we've got, um, they need to feel the pressure of delivering. And if we add to that what we've got, then that's great. We can then add him to the team and our thoughts. But until we change what we've got, I try not to think about it. But I will be. I would like a centre forward. I can't deny that. But as I said, until we get one, I won't spend any time thinking about it. I'll be more focused on what we've got. I'll come the start of the season. I'll look at the squad we've got, and then I'll level my expectations from that. And while I'm not quite like Jim, we might not win the quadruple. I think we could win the triple.
So negative, Mickey. You're so negative. Why only the treble? Oh dear, there is it's I think again it's another human nature thing where we look around and we go, right, we need to buy him, we need that, we need this, because it's not our money at the end of the day.
It is human nature, but you know what? When you choose who you're going to support, what football club you are going to support, hopefully it's for the rest of your life. So while there's nothing better than watching the club you support win trophies, and I've played in teams that's won trophies, so I know how great that feels. But ultimately, as a fan, since I became a fan and not a player, I've not seen us win many trophies. But am I any less of a fan because we haven't? No, because it's like choosing a wife or choosing a child. Your football club becomes your life, and through thick or thin, that's what being a supporter is. Winning, losing, drawing, you still support them for the next game. It's easy being a supporter when you win every year or you win every week. That's easy, but can you be the same supporter when you're not winning every week or when you're not winning trophies? And ultimately, that will decide who is a great supporter or who's not. Because yes, we all want to win trophies, but whether we do or we don't, is not going to make me any better or any less a supporter of our football club. You know, because I love the football club, and I'll love it from now till the day I pass, and that will be carried on through the generations of my family. So, yeah, win, lose, or draw, I'm a fan.
Shemtan. Yeah, that is what being a supporter is. You're right. Shemtan's put Jimbo's grinning like a Cheshire cat and Kate's giggling like a schoolgirl when the popular handsome boy at school says hello to you. I'm starstruck. What can I say? Jimbo is starstruck as well. I know. You don't get starstruck, Jim, but you always are beaming when you speak about Micky.
Yeah, I said to you before, the time Micky played, I used to go to nearly every single game, and I had some bad things going in my life, and Tottenham was kind of the good thing in my life back then. So yeah, I got really fond memories, and you was my favourite player, Micky. So yeah, I do beam when I swear, and I don't get stuck. I've
Yes,
met a lot of famous people.
Berryman and Archibald and Clements, these massive names of football, and I'm your favourite player. I think that's an incredible tribute to me, and I thank you for that. It's special because my favourite player or players was Odell and Ardele. Unfortunately, they were similar positions to me, and while I played lots of times with them, they also cost me a number of appearances as well. But I thank you. It's lovely when someone says player.
Good memories. I got good memories.
Yeah. One of our friends, Jose, has said he's got a question for you. This is a horrible question as well. Who was the better player, Hoddle or Ardiles? One with the King of White Hart Lane and the other a World Cup champion.
It's a fantastic question, one that's very difficult to answer. The reason being is because they were very different. You know, when I talk about Ozzy, I would say that Ozzy had the best football brain of any footballer that I've ever played with. But much more than the impact that he had on the pitch, with his playing style, he brought about a change in mentality. He brought a winning mentality to the football club. You know, before him we had very good players and creative, skillful, talented players, but we hadn't really learned how to win. And that's so Ozzy added not just his talent as a footballer, but he added this winning mentality. So his influence was probably as great as any player that I'd ever played with at the football club. Glenn, on the other hand, was the most naturally gifted footballer that I'd ever seen. He was 2-footed. He could do anything with either foot. He was an absolute total genius on the football. Um, you know, who was the most influential? I would say they both had that. There were different players. If I could choose the team, an all-time great Spurs team, where would they be? Both of those would be in my all-time Spurs team because they were both wonderful footballers, but very different in the way that they played the game, very different in the mental approach. But in the end, Ozzy made us all winners. We learned how to win, and we became winners. And that was, you know, and sometimes I think that you can be a great footballer, but ultimately the mentality is what wins trophies. And Ozzy instilled that in all of us as youngsters. And Glenn benefited from playing with Ozzy as well. But two absolute geniuses, both would be in my all-time best Spurs 11. Would I separate them? I would separate them in natural talent, but I think that in terms of their influence, I would say they were pretty much equal.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair to say, I think. Very sitting on the fence, but fair.
Of politicians.
Yeah, you didn't want. Thing is, you play. Do you play golf with them both? I know you play golf with Ozzy.
Play golf with Ozzy. I play golf with Glenn. Glenn's a very good player. Ozzy's very steady, but he's a 20 handicap, but he's very steady. And Glenn's a good player. Plays off 9, I think. Much more golf. Um, that they are very, very good company when you're playing golf with them. The conversation's great. I mean, obviously we've known each other for 40 odd years, so the conversation's not going to be dull and boring because we know everything there is to know about each other. So there's always a bit of banter and a bit of stick flying around. And we developed a new game that we play whenever we play in forward. We developed this new game that we all like to play. And it's really, really competitive, trust me. Nobody wants to lose. And that comes from having that sort of mentality as a player. When I was a youngster playing football, I won time after time after time playing for my school, but I never grasped the mentality of what it took to win. I just went out and won because I was the best player. As you progress through the system, it becomes much, much harder to win. So you need something on top of your talent. And that's what Aussie gave us, and that carries itself over to the goal. You've got to, at that moment when you need to find that great shot or that great putt, you've got to hold your nerve and you've got to stand up and you've got to be courageous and you've got to attack it. You don't take a backward step right? So he's just hit a shot to 5 foot. You can't fold under the pressure. You've got to say, right, I'm going to 2 foot, and throw the pressure back on him. So don't take it back when you're going for something. It's the motto to dare is to do. Don't take a step when you're going to achieve. Don't take a backward step. Don't think I can't do this because you can. Go, and if you fail, what is it the great Bill Nick said? We at Tottenham, we ain't so.
Yeah, that's it.
The fact that even defeat will bring with it the neck old glory. It's the same in every walk of life. Don't be afraid. Go for it. If you fail with your head high and your chest but more likely than not, you're more likely to succeed when you've been brave and courageous and you've attacked it. Let's go. I want to play.
Wise words there. I did mention him earlier. Archie Gray's completed his move to Tottenham today, and Lucas Bergvall will be playing obviously with us next season. Are you excited that we seem to be going for this youth project, bringing a lot of youngsters in?
First of all, I don't know too much about them. I've heard great things about both. And yes, I'm very excited about seeing them play. Am I excited about the youth? Listen, I tell you something about football. If you go throughout history and you look at all the successful clubs, including the greatest club side I've ever seen, Barcelona, they are all filled with homegrown talent that came through the system, young 15, 16-year-olds that have been developed through that system. And they put them into the team alongside the so-called superstars, and then they work hand in hand. The youth who give the team its heart and soul because they came through the system, they know what it means to the club, they know what it means to play in the North London derby, they know what it means because they've been instilled in them, and they then teach the superstars of the team how to feed what they feed. The superstars of the team teach the youngsters how to play the game even better, teach them lots of tricks of the trade, etc., like Aussie did us, and together you become a force. You look at the great Man United team with Beckham, Neville brothers, Wes Brown, all these footballers that went on and won loads of trophies, Scholes, that they won these trophies because they came through the system. They had Manchester United at the heart of their heart, and then that was instilled in the superstars. So when I see youngsters arriving at the football club, I always feel, yeah, come on, let's teach them the Tottenham way. Let's educate them. Let's teach them what it means to play for this football club, what it stands for. Let's teach them about the North London derby so that when they get the opportunity to play in one, they want to go in that game and become an hero overnight. Because they go and score a winning goal in the North London derby, Archie Gray becomes the name of becomes a fan of every Spurs fan. Every Spurs fan loves them. So, yes, I love the youngsters. I buy into the philosophy of developing our own. And I'm sure I said this on the last Spurs podcast. Whenever I talk about youth, I say it all the time. What we must never forget, every greatest footballer that's ever walked this earth at one time was a youth player.
Mm-hmm.
The youth system at Barcelona. greatest player ever. Maradona came through a youth system. Every great Glenn Hoddle through a youth system at Spurs. Every great player has once upon a time been a youth player, and that's where greatness comes from. So never ever disrespect young players, because one day Harry Kane, he came through our youth setup, became our greatest ever goal scorer and England's greatest ever goal scorer. You know, it's a youth player. So never bemoan the fact that we sign a youth, because one day that youth player will become the greatest player in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Jimbo, you've got quite high expectations of both these youngsters, I believe.
Yeah, I've done a bit of homework, and they both look good players, and they both look confident players, and I think they're fitting to Ange's system really well. They don't look frightened when they're on the football pitch. They look like they're having the time of their life, and I just think to myself, footballers that go out there to enjoy it and express themselves will always end up the best footballers. And these two just look like it's a day out, on a Sunday football pitch when they play.
Should have been
So,
should have been my manager.
Yeah, I mean, they both look very good. And both very young. So, and also just from a lady's perspective, Lucas Bergwall is one hell of a looker as well. Even though he's like the same age as my son, he's very gorgeous.
Yeah, he sort of, but every time I look at him, he sort of reminds me of me.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. He definitely hasn't got your hair, Mickey.
No, I've got it really minute, as you can see. It's much easier to manage when it's like this. I actually, when my hair's starting to grow, and I never let it grow what it used to be, but when it's grow, I can't wait to get it cut, because I love waking up in the morning not having to brush my hair. Lovely. Short at the minute.
Yeah. Philip Bidwell is a Liverpool fan. He said, "Who did you hate playing against that played for Liverpool? Is there anyone particular?"
Yeah, Liverpool.
Liverpool. The whole team.
I honestly believe that if Liverpool weren't around in those days, I'd have had 2 or 3 league titles to my name. But Dalglish was an unbelievable player. Rush was an incredible player. Alan Hansen, who's been very sick recently, wonderful player. Mark Lawrenson. They had so many great players. I'd have to say one of who I was in sort of direct competition with, Graham Souness. What a player he was. He wasn't just a very good footballer. He was very, 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 very hard, but also didn't mind giving you one if needed. I was in less direct competition with Rush and Dalglish or Hansen and Lawrenson. I was more directly up against Souness, so I would sort of select Souness.
Yeah. It's kind of on the same lines. Ed says, "Who's the best midfielder you've played against?"
Oh wow, great question, that one. Outside of Spurs players. Ooh, good one. Let me think. Gazze. Gazze was
wow.
Played against Gazze. I was sort of towards the end of my career. I was sort of through. You could see how gifted he was, but obviously I was very experienced at that time and knew how to play him. And I wasn't worried about playing against him because I didn't really know him at that point. He wasn't a big name. Obviously, there was a growing and developing reputation, but it never held any fears for me to play against him. So, in fact, hang on, should I get him out of my pocket and introduce him? No, so in his youngest days, you could see he was gifted and talented, but he didn't yet have the ammunition to run the show as such. As he progressed through, very quickly he became this player who could actually take the game by the scruff of the neck and win it on his own almost. So he developed into a brilliant player, but you could see the signs when he was young, but he wasn't as dominant when he was young as he was later in his career. But great player.
I mean, obviously you still have a strong connection with the club and still spend a lot of time with ex-players. It's so sad. We see it in the press all the time. Gazze's struggles that he's had over the years. Have you had any dealings with him, or have you? I don't know how he's getting on at the minute. I know he was in trouble, but
Yeah, no, he's very, very good friends with Gary Mabbott, number one, who sort of tends to sort of wrap an arm around him or whatever. I played with Gazze in the, one of the greatest compliments that I ever received was from Gazze as a footballer, and it was long after I'd retired. I was playing in the Inter Milan game at the new stadium, first game ever at the new stadium. Gazze was there playing, and I was standing in the dressing room as the coach had brought all the players in. And Gazze was in the queue, and I was there greeting them as they came in, shaking hands with them all. And Gazze saw me, and he said, "Oh, it's Micky Hazard. What a player he was! What a player!" Micky. I thought, wow, Paul Gascoigne, that unbelievable footballer, talking about me like that. He blew me away. And then during the course of the day, we had pictures together and everything. It was a wonderful day. And when you see Gazze, he is just a complete bundle of energy, a bundle of fun, an absolute smashing human being. Yes, of course, and I sort of, in some respects, I blame football. When youngsters break into football, they get sort of educated on dealing with the press but there's something that should be there for life after football. They should be educated on planning and preparing for what life is like after football. What plans will you have after football? How you deal with throughout your football career, you sort of living this life of being adored and worshipped and hero worshipped and fans sing your name, and you're scoring goals and you're on high after high after high after high. Yeah, there's one or two downs, but in general, it's one long sort of high. And then all of a sudden, you have to retire, and it's sort of taken away from you. And if you have relied sort of on this adulation as a motivation, it can, when it sort of starts to subside, you're no longer playing, you're not getting the thrill and the buzz of playing and scoring goals and the fans singing your name. So that's taken away, and then slowly your reputation and subsides as youngsters. As we get older, the youngsters come through. They haven't heard of Gazze, so there's less adulation because the youngsters come through, don't know, and the elderly like us, we don't sort of, we're not so boisterous in our, because we grow up and become wise. I think that football should lend itself to educating footballers about life after football, as well as life during football, with dealing with the press, etc., TV, etc. I think there's certainly, and Gazze's evidence of that fact, that we should be training of some sort that could educate them on, during his playing career, how to cope with life after football. Because I'm sure that it's played a part, because he's an absolute wonderful human being. You ever meet Gazze, and you're sitting in a corner and you're struggling, he walk over and give you his last pound note. That's how good a guy he is. He's a wonderful guy, but he just encounters these problems, and I hope to God there's a lot of people out there trying to help him. And I know at times he's a different animal, but sometimes you have to help yourself as well. You have to drive yourself and say, right, okay, listen, here, come on, I need to address this now. I need to. But would I ever say a bad word? No. I think he was a wonderful player. I also think he's a wonderful human being as well.
Yeah, I mean, Jimbo, as someone everybody on here would know, who's battled with your own addictions, I wonder if sometimes sort of the footballers have got this high, they're scoring goals, and it's a massive high, and that gets taken away, and they're trying to find a different substance or something to substitute that. But I mean, it's so sad what's happened. What Gaz has been struggling with for quite a few years now.
Yeah, it's it's a funny thing, addiction. I mean, it is an illness, and some people are strong enough to get through it, and some people are strong enough to get through it for a while, but they get dragged back into it, and it's harder for them. And Gazze seems to be one of them people. But you have to want to help yourself. If you don't help yourself, you can't rely on other people. There might be people out there that will help you, but you need to help yourself. And I think Gazze, it's what I see and what I read about him, and you know me, I quite try and keep up with it with him, Kate, because of not only was he's one of our best players of all time, but because of his addictions. But he seems to fall back into it. But I did watch a video the other day that he seemed to be doing quite well at the minute, and
Good.
uh, he seems to be all right. But I don't know. He's just one of these people that he just can't seem to get himself straight, can he? And it's sad because what as you said, what a human being he is, what a nice guy he is, but what a footballer, that goal that he scored in the semi-final against Arsenal, that is imprinted in my head. That goal, and I can see that goal
You know
as he
what,
scored it whenever I want in my head. It was just one that just sticks there.
Jim? You probably don't know this, nor do probably you, Kate. The day before that game, I spent an hour coaching them how to do it.
It wasn't your shot that hit the cockerel, was it? That wasn't you, was it? Yeah, I mean, obviously we all want Gazze to be well and healthy. Just an incredible player, and most people, I've never really heard anyone say anything bad about him. So he obviously is a good guy. So hopefully he keeps himself straight. And big up to Gary Mabbott, my favourite all-time player, and obviously another one like you, Mickey, who does so much for charity. He did all the phone calls during COVID. I think he still does a lot of phone calls now. He's reached out to Gazze. He's just a wonderful human.
He really is. And one day I'm hoping to get him on here, Kate.
I know, bless him.
One, obviously he's very high up in the ambassadorial role at the club.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose, and I don't know, but I suppose that maybe he doesn't want to jeopardise that. I've certainly put it to him. He's asking for breakdowns, details, etc. And I know one day he will come on.
Bless him. I just hope one day I get to speak to him because I just adore him. And he was one of the sort of, I was supporting Tottenham 40 years, and then Mabbott just made me fall in love with Tottenham all over again. You know, you get that one player. I just love him. Yeah, you can tell. You can tell he's a gentleman. We Talk Football says, I remember watching Mickey and Garth Crooks, a tremendous dribbler with the ball. Never forgotten. I mean, you've been lucky, Mickey. You've played with some absolute megastars.
Yeah, no, listen. If someone had told me when I was born the life that I was going to lead, would I have said no? Would I have changed it? No. My life's been completely and totally blessed. Maybe I didn't fulfill the talent that I had in the way that I should have, but that's down to me and nobody else. You know, when you're responsible for your own talents and how you utilise them, and should have been bigger and better, but still very proud of what I achieved. But to live the life that I've led is I use this little sentence a lot because one of the greatest movies that I ever watched said it in this movie, and it was actually called this. And I use it an incredible lot about myself when asked about a similar question. All I can say is, here's the quote now, all I can say is, somebody up there likes me.
Ah. Yeah, well, do you know what, Mickey? You do make your own. You make your own luck, and you're in charge of your own destiny to an extent. So you know you obviously worked hard to get where you were. There's only a certain amount of natural talent you can have. You've got to work at it. But have you got any regrets?
Regrets? No, I'm not. I'm not a believer in regrets. Um, I think that you reap what you sow, you get what you deserve. Um, so I don't regret nothing. If I could turn the clock back, say, what would I? Would I change anything? Um, well, no, I wouldn't change a thing because I did it my way.
Yeah. You- Go on, you're not going to break into song, are you?
Yeah. Because I did it my way, I can't regret anything because um, whether I was a success or whether I failed, whether I underachieved or whether I overachieved, it was all my way. Um, I didn't let anybody take away the thing that I was good at. Either a manager would say, "Oh, look, I want you to do this today. Change your game and do." I'm not changing my game. I'm playing the way that I play the game. That's how I was taught. That's how I was brought into the world. This is my beliefs, and I'm not going to play you then. That's okay. That's okay. If you want someone else to do this sort of running, working, tackling job, then that's fine. You can play them. I said, but when you've got a player of my quality, my talent, my skill, don't make me be a workhorse and tackler. Not that. So I'd never ever sacrificed anything just for the sake of playing. My beliefs were far greater than playing. My beliefs were, I am who I am, and this is how I want to play the game. This is how I want to watch the game. This is how I want to see the game played, and that's what I'm going to do. And I never ever um, deviated from that. Come what may. So yeah, I did it my way. No regrets.
Very much like Ange, won't deviate from your philosophy and what you believe in.
Yeah.
Jim, you're the same, and you're the same in the fact that you've never got any regrets because everything leads you to your path. I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've all made mistakes in life, and I think sometimes the mistakes are meant to happen to lead you where you're going. And I never worry about anything, Mickey, ever, because worrying don't change things. I just crack on and try and solve it. And yeah, I think to look back and have regrets in your life will change your destiny, and that's your destiny's there for a reason, you know. And I made some huge mistakes in my 30s and 40s, and I ended up meeting Kate at Tottenham. Now we've got a beautiful son, and if I hadn't have made them mistakes, I would never have met Kate, you know. And they were massive mistakes, believe me. But it led me to you, Kate, and then we moved on from there. And so that's why I believe I don't look back and think I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, and I done it, and it led me to where I am now, a happy man. So
Remember the past. It's there for a reason. It's there to make the future better. Because the mistakes that we make in the past, we learn from, so we don't make them again in the future, and we make things better in the future. So without the past, there can't be a great future.
Yep, exactly that. Graham says, Mickey, do you like the shirt badge in the centre or over the heart or to the left?
Wow, I never really thought it. I say that one of my favourite shirts was the early '80s shirt with the cockerel in slap bang in the centre of the shirt.
Yeah,
But I also liked it when it was on the left side, over the heart. If I was choosing, it would be one of them two. But I particularly like the early '80s. The shirt that you've got in your picture,
yeah, I know.
Alston shirt. I particularly like that shirt a lot. And maybe it's biased because we won we won two trophies in that shirt. So you always feel better about things when you win trophies, of course. But I did like that shirt, and I liked it in the centre. But I also liked it on the left as well.
Yeah. Holston, for me, it made the best shirts.
Yeah, Alston were amazing shirts.
Yeah,
That's
100%. I'm not sure. You probably know Paddy Hartnett. Everybody knows Paddy Hartnett from Limerick Spurs. He said, is there one bit of advice you can give to people? What would it be?
depends if is it football advice or is it advice to everyone? Football advice, I would say to any youngster, dreaming of being a footballer, never do the same thing twice. Because when you're a young kid of 7, 8, 9, you can do the same thing 1,000 times and it'll come off 1,000 times. As you progress through the various age groups, it gets tougher to do things, and the players you're coming up against get better. And when you get to the top, if you do the same thing all the time, the best players in the world read you like a book. So if you're going to do a step over one way, the next time do it the opposite way. The next time do it triple way, then 4 ways. And, so you're never giving them a chance to be able to understand or read what you're going to do. So never do the same thing twice. For every day, every folk, advice, I would have to say that be kind, and if we want the world to be this perfect world that we dream of, I think it's really important that we're all there for everyone, and we help each other, because together we are unbeatable, but torn apart, we're easy to beat. So be kind. You don't know the path that someone has walked, and until you've walked their path, do not judge, because their path could be a path filled with problems you've never encountered. So be understanding, but be kind to everyone that you come into contact with, because everybody's got their own problems and we're not aware of what their problems are. But if you be kind and you give them the benefit of the doubt before you judge, the world's a far, far, far better place to live in.
Sorry, Paddy says the same. He said mine would be kind, help those you can and make people happy. Yeah, I mean, we always say that on this channel. Don't judge, try and be nice and give everyone a smile, because you never know what they're going through.
Okay, that Paddy, I knew he'd say that because he's just on my Facebook.
There are, see? There you go. It says, question for Micky, best player you've ever played against. Did I ask you the best midfielder? Is there someone different that's the best player you've ever played against?
Oh, without any shadow of a doubt. The best, played against lots of incredibly great footballers in European competition, Rummenigge and people like that. Johan Cruyff, not a question.
Yeah.
He's a 14-year-old schoolboy. The first time I'd really seen Johan Cruyff, in the 1974 UEFA Cup, in the World Cup, we reached the final. Johan Cruyff was absolutely incredible. My favourite all-time footballer. He was a genius. Played football the way I wanted to watch it played, the way I want to see it played. But he did it with style, grace, and elegance, maybe unparalleled. He was an absolute wonderful player. Johan Cruyff for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we've done our favourite players of all time, and many people have come out and said Johan Cruyff. I always say Ronaldinho. And Jim always says Micky Hazard. So look at that. What good company you're in.
I nearly said him as well, Kate, but it's a bit far.
I've got a question for Micky.
Go on.
Micky, there's a guy that comes in here, Mark. He's a Chelsea supporter, and he's a really good friend to the channel. He's a regular, and he keeps telling me that you prefer to play for Chelsea than Tottenham. Can you put him straight for me, please?
First of all, let me say this to Mark. Thank you for the incredible support that the Chelsea fans gave me when I played for Chelsea. To be a player that's played for Spurs all my life, from being a 12-year-old schoolboy, to move across London to one of the enemies, and to be accepted and adored and loved by the fans was absolutely incredible. And I have nothing but the utmost respect, time and love for the Chelsea fans, and gratitude for the way they treat me. But I'm sorry, Mark, if I have to answer that question, and this is not to offend, there's only one team I would choose. That would be Tottenham Hotspur Football Club. I was born to play for Spurs. Their philosophy, their positions, their style fitted perfectly with the way I saw the game and how we played. There was no better fit. We were like a hand to a glove. We fit perfectly together. It also helps that I won trophies at that club as well. My children were born while I was playing for that club, and also have season tickets at Spurs now, and my grandchildren have season tickets. So yeah, I enjoyed more playing for Tottenham than I did Chelsea, and if I went through it all again, I would still choose Tottenham. But that doesn't mean it's a slur on the Chelsea fans. Not a chance. I would never ever say one bad word about Chelsea fans. They treat me like I was a king.
Good answer. I know you've got to go and pick your grandchildren up soon, Micky, so I'm going to finish with this question. What are your hopes and aspirations for the new season?
I'm not going to get carried away here because it's easy to get carried away when you're sitting on a podcast saying, when you ask this question, because, it doesn't really matter. You can say what you please. So I'm not going to get carried away. I'm going to say what I feel and what my hopes are and what my aspirations are. And I'm going to say it from the bottom of my heart and mean it without any bias whatsoever. But I genuinely believe that we're going to win the quadruple.
Not too much pressure. Now, realistically, what are your hopes for next season?
Let me say this first and foremost, is that whatever we do achieve, I won't be surprised. Because at times last season, we played football of the absolute highest order. So a season down the line, more training, more understanding, more fitting with the style, more Ange implementing the way he wants the team to play. Nothing would surprise me. But if I was to be 100% honest here and say, if we get one trophy, I will be absolutely overjoyed. The reason I will be overjoyed, because as I touched on earlier, often the winning of trophies, the most difficult thing about winning a trophy is the first one, getting over that line. Once you've got yourself over that line, you prove to yourself that I can do this, I've done it, I can do it again. And then you win more. So whether or not we can win the quadruple or not, doesn't matter, as long as we get over the line in one. Because I think that will then lead to us winning more and more and more, because it will prove to these very good players that we've got in our squad that we are capable of doing it. We just have to do it once, and then we'll be doing it again and again. So one trophy would be my dream, because of what it would lead to.
Yep, I always say to, every time we speak on it, I always say, winning breeds winning, and that mentality, once we've got it, we'll be unstoppable. Jimbo, is your hopes and aspirations the quad?
Massively. I will believe it's on till it's not on. And I just think Ange is going to deliver. And he likes to deliver in his second season, Micky, doesn't he?
Yeah, his second season, he's always done it. Now,
Yeah.
it's a revelation as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter now is I actually can't see him not winning a trophy.
Yeah. That's how I feel.
I just feel like he inspires me to believe that we're going to win a trophy. When I listen to him talk, mate, when I hear him talking about the game, his analysis of the game, almost directly after the game, he's absolutely spot on. When I see him going to the fans and dragging all the players over with him to wave to the fans and thank them for their support, it's inspirational. So I just want to see he's not going to win a trophy. No doubt he is.
Yeah, and I agree with you. We've said when we watch him speak, sometimes we want to run through brick walls for Ange, and I don't run ever unless I'm being chased. So he's obviously doing something right, because I'd certainly run for him.
Chase you then, Kate.
Jim chased me, blimey, he hasn't got it in him anymore, bless him. Poor old boy. Sorry, Jimbo, I had to get a dig in there somewhere. Micky, what a pleasure it's been to have you on the show again. Thank you so much for taking the time out. and for your support for the channel. I mean, you donated that Benton Kerr picture that went to Wayne Bonner won it, and he's got it hanging up. And yeah, it's just always such an absolute honour and a joy to sit and talk to you.
My pleasure, trust me.
It really is. And hopefully we will get to see you. I mean, we're in Kent now, so we're spending a lot more time. Yeah.
Whereabouts in Kent?
Bexley Heath.
Oh, you're kidding. I was there last week.
Stop it.
I was in Bexley Heath playing golf there last week.
Oh, my God. Yeah, we're in Bexley Heath for the foreseeable.
Oh, 2 weeks running I was in Bexley Heath.
So,
The third week, Mark Falkwood took my place.
wow. Well, if you're ever in Bexley Heath, make sure you let me know, because we're here.
Bexley Heath?
My sister and I didn't speak for 10 years, and we've reconciled. And well, it's the funny things happen in families, Mickey. You know what it's like. People get dragged into other people's arguments, etc. So we missed out on 10 years of my niece and nephew, and my son missed out 10 years with his aunt and uncle and his cousin. So we're making up for lost time.
That's good. That's really good.
So
we don't have differences, but they should never ever fall apart.
exactly. So, but yeah, hopefully we will get to actually meet you in person, because it's on our bucket list.
Yeah, no, anytime. I'm always around.
Excellent.
Come this way, let me know. I'll take you to lunch.
Oh, look at that. I don't know what your way is. Is it Hertfordshire way?
No, I live in France.
I can't ever take anything you say seriously. Everything's a joke.
Stansted.
Oh, okay.
10 minutes north of Stansted.
Oh, okay. Not that far. Well,
Yeah.
we saw something.
As you going on, maybe? Because you might. What did you go? Around the M25?
Yes.
M11?
Yes.
Yeah, so I live just off the M11.
Okay. So not that far at all.
Let me know, and we'll meet up.
Excellent. Brilliant. But as always, like I say, thank you so much for taking the time to come on. It's been an absolute pleasure. Jimbo, I'll let you say your little piece.
Yeah, it's been brilliant having you on, Mickey. It's just fantastic. Such a lovely guy, such a great footballer, human being. It's just a pleasure to be able to talk to you and for the people to listen to you.
So thank you, Jim, and thank you to the show for having me on, and thank you to all the followers of the show listening today. And much love to you all.
Mickey, thank you very much. We're back. I don't know what day. I don't know what day this week, but yeah, thanks again, Mickey. I hope everyone's enjoyed it, and we answered all your questions. And enjoy your day. Be nice to people, and we will see you soon. Take care.
And come on, you Spurs.
How do you turn this thing off?